NHL Jets post round one media availability with Jets general manager Kevin Cheveldayoff. Anyone with questions for Kevin, use the raise hand function now and we'll get started. And we'll get going with Mike McIntyre from the Winnipeg Free Press. Go ahead, Mike.
Good evening, Kevin.
Hi, Mike.
Hi. Hard not to maybe see some parallels between the first round this year and the first round last year, and that you get a young, skilled center that a lot of folks thought would probably be gone by the time you got to pick. Do you see it that way, that he kind of fell into your lap here?
Well, certainly, I think that again, the year itself certainly I think played into this pick. He's had to go through some adversity. He had some injuries that limited the amount of games that he could play. But we're really excited. Again, I think it's a really good value pick where we got it, and a real skilled player, very good character player. Just the interview process we went through with him was fantastic. Knows a lot about his game, knows a lot about how to play, works real hard at it. He's real skilled, and again, I think he's kind of missed a year of development in a lot of ways. So looking forward to the fact that he is going to college, and that it's a good opportunity for him to develop. So anytime you can grab a center with those kind of skills and those kind of qualities, it's a good day for the draft.
We'll go next to Ken Weeb from Sportsnet. Go ahead, Weaver.
Kevin, you touched on those Zoom meetings. What stood out in those, and what did you learn about the person?
I think just a great self-awareness of what his game is, and he really understood. One of the questions that we ask all the time is if no one had seen you play, tell us a little bit about your game. So he was really bang on with his play, his strengths, his weaknesses, what he needs to work on. He's got a real plan on how to work on things. And again, a real character kid, and the views that we had on him were excellent, and again, really excited that that he was there at our pick.
We'll go next to Murat Atesh from The Athletic. Go ahead, Murat.
Thanks, Gregor. Hi, Kevin. I guess following up on that excitement, I mean, is there ever a temptation to get too cute and trade down for more picks given the number you have?
We did make some calls kind of either way preliminarily, but as we started to see, it unfold, we actually, felt that we were in a really good spot. Even if we didn't get him, we had, another player sitting right there that we felt real comfortable taking. So it wasn't so much of an issue, for us to look to move back. There's every draft will present itself differently, but when you're in the middle there like that, that you're going to get a good pick.
We'll go next to Ted Wyman from the Winnipeg Sun. Go ahead, Ted.
Hey, Kevin. The analysts on the broadcast tonight immediately compared your draft pick to Kyle Connor, maybe just from a similar path in his development to this point. And then he talked about emulating Mark Scheifele. Those are two pretty good players in your system that you've got a guy who's interested in following.
So he, in his interview process, he did, tell us, likes to touch my, he loves to study his game and see the way he, does different things. And, that he was one of his favorite players. So I made a joke with him, when I first talked to him here on his post-draft Zoom call that sealed the deal. But, he is a goal scorer. He's a centerman that can score some goals. He's, he can make plays as well. But, that's probably where the Kyle Connor, type of comparison does come into play. But certainly excited to add some real top end skill to our lineup and group of prospects.
We'll go back to Murat Atesh from The Athletic. Go ahead, Murat.
Thanks again. And I hope my mic volume is better.
There you go. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Just, you mentioned every draft presents itself differently. And with the video watchings and all sorts of stuff, I guess maybe the assumption is that a lot of teams have unique, different draft boards. And I'm wondering if you're looking at it as an opportunity, how that affects round 2 and beyond.
Well, our draft board actually was pretty tight, to how it got picked here today. I think we probably only had 3 or 4, players, skaters outside of ones that got selected. So it was very interesting. It was pretty tight, which we thought it could go either way. So it's interesting in that part. 2 goalies going in the first round. A lot of times you don't see that, so that affects how the picks fall into place at different points in time. And you're always trying to project where they might go and who might be the teams that that take them. But the unpredictability is always there. Sometimes it's I remember one draft we literally went right down right to our pick, and we had 2 players sitting there that certainly we were comfortable in taking, but the list was so tight that year that it never spread at all.
We'll go back to Ken Weeb from Sportsnet. Go ahead, Weaver.
Kevin, very active day around the league. How did today's developments impact your pursuit of upgrading the defense corps?
Yeah, so we were active on a couple of fronts, and it's obviously there was some big ones that did go today. We certainly weren't in some of them, for various different reasons, but we're going to continue to look and see if there's an opportunity. Whether it's through trade, now, or whether it's through free agency, if we have that opportunity, and it could be a trade that maybe happens, down the road as well. So we have to be prepared for everything, and we'll see how some things unfold.
We'll go back to Ted Wyman from the Sun. Go ahead, Ted.
Kevin, a lot of people were shocked by Montreal's pick tonight. Were you surprised that they picked Logan Mailloux?
Well, again, I'm not really, going to comment on too many or on any other players that are picked in the draft because of the property of some other team. But certainly it's a situation that I think your own organization would have to make your own decisions, on that, and each organization, has to make their own choices.
Thanks very much, Kevin.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gregor. Evening, Chaz. How would you describe this moment, and how would you describe yourself as a player for those who haven't seen you play live before?
Obviously, the moment was really special, obviously, to share with my family and to be here with USA Hockey, who's helped me along the way. And then obviously, I'd say with my game aspect of it, I'd say if I were to describe my game, I'd say what sticks out the most is my goal scoring and offensive production. I'd say I'm a good teammate, a good leader, and I do the right thing and play a good 200-foot game.
We'll go next to Mike McIntyre from the Winnipeg Free Press. Go ahead, Mike.
Thanks, Gregor. Congratulations, Chaz. Just reading a bit about your last season. Sounds like it didn't get off to the best start with obviously a long recovery there. How frustrating was that? And I guess, do you feel that maybe caused you to fall a bit, and you were projected to go potentially in the top 10 in the draft?
Obviously the injury, it wasn't the best happening in my draft year, but I really rolled with it as it happened in the recovery process. And I really couldn't control it at all. So, I mean, from day one, I wasn't going to get sad. I wasn't going to get mad. Whatever happened with the draft, so it may. But I'm glad I'm a Winnipeg Jet now, and I'm really fortunate that they drafted me.
Just for those of you that haven't been on one of our Zoom interviews before, if you have questions, just use the raise hand function and I'll be sure to get to everybody. But we'll go next to Murat Atesh from The Athletic. Go ahead, Murat.
Thanks, Gregor. Hi, Chaz. Congratulations on the selection. There's a really nice Scott Wheeler story that talks about some of what you did with your downtime when you were hurt. And he gets into some of the books you were reading. And I'm just wondering, how did you use that to kind of build and use that time to become an even better person player this year?
Yeah, in the recovery process, obviously reading the books was good, and it really motivated me and pushed me to keep going in the recovery process. And I use it as motivation, like I said. And then I'd say from a mental standpoint, it was really beneficial for me to read the books. And then obviously just being around people every day. And, some days there was people going through the same thing that I was. So just knowing that I wasn't alone, that I was going to get through it.
We'll go next to Gemma Carson-Smith from the Canadian Press. Go ahead, Gemma.
Sorry about that, just trying to mute the TV in the background. Chaz, can you tell us what you know about the Winnipeg Jets?
Yeah, obviously it's close to home for me, so that's a plus for sure. But I'd say it's a really fun team to watch, fast paced. There's a really bright future for the Winnipeg Jets, and I'm just happy to be a part of it at this point. You know, I'm really looking forward to the future of the Winnipeg Jets also. And I mean, just, you know, a lot of great players on the team already. So I'm hoping to add to that and contribute to, you know, one day, hopefully win a Stanley Cup.
We'll go back to Ken Weeb from Sportsnet. Go ahead, Weber.
Chaz, how did hockey become your passion, and why was the U.S. national program the best route for you as you get ready to head to the University of Minnesota in the fall?
Yeah, actually, hockey was one of the last sports I went into. Just growing up in Minnesota, all my buddies played it, so I started at 8 years old and never looked back ever since. I fell in love with the game. So I'd say from that moment on, I was really, you know, all in hockey, I'd say, and really passionate about the sport. So I'd probably say that that's kind of what my love of hockey, you know, when it started, and then, you know, continues to this day.
We'll go back to Mike McIntyre from the Free Press. Go ahead, Mike.
Chaz, the Jets, I'm sure you're aware of this, have a pretty rich history with Minnesotans. Blake Wheeler, of course, the captain from Minnesota. There's guys like Neil Pionk, Dylan Sandberg, Dominic Toninato. Do you know any of those guys? Like, would you ever have crossed paths with them, just maybe in training or things like that?
No, I don't know any of them personally, but I mean, I've heard they're great guys. And like I said, I'm really looking forward to, you know, hopefully one day meeting them and you know, suiting up for the Winnipeg Jets and playing on their team.
We'll go back to Ken Weeb from Sportsnet. Go ahead, Weber.
Chaz, obviously different circumstances with the pandemic, but what were some of your interactions with the Jets like, and did you have a sense that they might be interested in you?
Yeah, I'd say in my interview process with the Jets, I thought they were really interested in me. I thought it was going to be a really good fit if I ended up there, and obviously they took me. So I'm really fortunate and happy with that, and I hope they are too. But I mean, the interview process was really good, and I thought honestly from the first interview that it was going to be a perfect fit if I had the opportunity to go there.
We'll go back to Mike McIntyre from the Free Press. Go ahead, Mike.
Chaz, is there a modern day NHL player, someone in the league already established that you maybe look up to and you know, try and model your game? Is there anybody that comes to mind?
Yeah, I really look up to Mark Scheifele. He's a guy that I really try to model my game after, and you know, it's pretty cool now, obviously being drafted by the Jets, and you know, have him as an idol of mine. So I'm really looking forward to the opportunity there, and I'll keep watching his games and studying them well.
And we'll go back to Ken Weeb from Sportsnet. Go ahead, Weber.
Chaz, your shot is something that is obviously brought up a lot. How did you, how did you become a sniper? And was it hours of hard work, or on terms of the shooting, or is that something that came naturally to you if you were a late starter at 8 years old?
I'd say it's more of the work ethic and the shooting pucks every day, and just whether it be off angle shots, regular shots, or one-legged shots, whatever it may be. I feel like that really honed in my shooting ability as well. And then obviously natural athleticism definitely plays a part in that and helps.
We'll go next to Ted Wyman from the Winnipeg Sun. Go ahead, Ted.
Hi, Chaz. Another player they compared you to on the broadcast was Kyle Connor, who went through the U.S. development program and then university and then turned into a real sniper with the Jets. Is that a player that you follow closely as well?
Yeah, very, very closely. Yeah. I mean, Mark Scheifele and honestly Kyle Connor are two guys that I really look up to and try to model my game after for sure.
Well, thanks very much for doing this, Chaz. We do appreciate it, and we look forward to getting to meet you in Winnipeg.
Awesome. Thank you.